The United States is laying more charges and raising the reward to $15 million on a former Canadian Olympian who officials allege is now one of the world's most powerful drug lords and the biggest distributor of cocaine in Canada.
Wedding is also accused of murdering a federal witness after he was indicted in 2024. He used a Canadian website called The Dirty News to post photographs of the witness and his wife in order to locate him, which ultimately succeeded.
Wedding is Ryan Wedding, who competed for Canada as a snowboarder at the 2002 Olympics in Utah. But U.S. officials say his operation now imports about 60 metric tons of cocaine from Mexico to L.A. and on to Canada every year. Wedding is on the FBI's most wanted list, and the Department of Justice announced 10 other arrests connected to his operation today, including 7 Canadians arrested by the RCMP. And those arrests include Brampton, Ontario lawyer Deepak Paradkar, who goes by the handle @CocaineLawyer online. Officials allege Paradkar advised Wedding to kill a witness by telling him it would get the case against him dismissed. Here with me now is the Canadian who joined U.S. officials as they announced the indictment today. Mike Duheme is the commissioner of the RCMP. Commissioner Duheme, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming back from Washington to have a chat.
Thanks, you're welcome, David.
I want to start with the arrest of the lawyer, if we can, Deepak Paradkar. He's represented one of the men who murdered Laura Babcock and Tim Bosma, a high-profile litigator. How extraordinary is it for a lawyer like him to be accused in a case like this?
It just demonstrates the tentacles that organized crime at the highest level have to move their business of criminality forward. When you have a lawyer of that level involved, and in the indictment it explains exactly what he was involved with, actually hinting towards that Wedding and another individual that if he got rid of a federal witness, that the extradition case would fall apart, which is not the case, and it is concerning.
Okay, so Attorney General Pam Bondi, she accused Wedding of working closely with the Sinaloa cartel, once led by El Chapo, so a very well-known and notorious cartel. How do police believe that a Canadian snowboarder rose to such levels with the Mexican cartel and as a drug kingpin?
Yeah, it's all about, David, it's all about connections. I go back 2015, we had a file in Nova Scotia, Operation Harrington, in which we laid charges against him, conspiracy to import, but also trafficking. And that's where he went and hid in Mexico for several years, actually worked under another alias. And from there you grow, you make connections, you get respected in the environment, the business. And if you can demonstrate that you can move the stuff and sell the stuff, you gain credibility. And it's just over years he's become what he is today.
Okay, so U.S. officials say what he is today, allegedly, is quite big, a kingpin, right? That his operation is trafficking about 60 metric tons of cocaine to Los Angeles every year. And then I think a lot of that then comes into Canada, if not most of it. I think you pegged this at $1 billion operation.
I said the $1.3 billion criminal enterprise he's running. So that would put him, it was the director of FBI, Patel, Mr. Patel, who said that he considers this person the equivalent to El Chapo. And I would say that when you look at what he can move and the money that he's making in and the structure that he has, he's up there for sure. And you got to remember one thing, David, the reward went up from $10 million to $15 million. Even at $10 million, no one had come forward. So that just demonstrates how important he is in that environment when you're looking at cartels.
Right. I mean, I have no idea if raising it from 10 million to 15 million is going to be at the threshold where someone is willing to turn him in. But you know, what does this just tell us about how big the whole operation is, how broadly based it is throughout Canada and throughout North America? What can you tell us about that?
Well, you just look at from a law enforcement perspective. We had our office in Bogota, we had our office in Mexico, we had our office in Los Angeles, who's doing the lead. Mm-hmm. The FBI had several agents, several offices as well involved in this. Wedding's organization had tentacles from Colombia for where the cocaine was being made, transported up to either by plane or by boat into Mexico, and then redistribute it, bring it into the United States and up to Canada through the trucking companies. So you need a lot of people to do that. Today was the second phase of Operation Giant Slalom. And what we demonstrated is we got rid of, we were able to arrest some of the money launderers, a prominent lawyer, the hitmen, and a lot of the enablers. So it's going to have a significant impact on his operations.
But the operation's still operating, I would presume, right? He is still on the run, and while people get arrested, 7 of 10 people arrested were Canadians, as I understand it today. But it would seem he's going to need resources and money to stay hidden. Is it still in business right now?
I would say that there's a significant impact on his business, but historically, when you see organized crime, especially at this level, eventually they could find additional people to fill the void that they've had. But that's a challenge in itself, because you got to build trust. And when you're running a business like a $1.3 billion criminal enterprise, you need to trust the people around you, and that's a challenge.
Okay, the 60 metric tons of cocaine to Los Angeles, how much of that do you believe was coming into Canada each and every year?
There's a significant, I don't have an exact amount, there's a significant amount that would come to Canada, distributed across Canada, or shipped overseas.
Okay, so it might come in here for transshipment, but like, are we talking the vast majority of it, half of it, 2/3 of it?
I don't have the exact percentage of what came into Canada.
Okay, so the Department of Justice connected the 10 arrests and the murder charges against Wedding to the January 31st murder in Colombia of a federal witness. This is what you talked about in connection with the arrest of the lawyer, where the advice allegedly was get rid of the witness and the extradition case against you would go away. The circumstances and media reports suggest that that witness is Montreal native Jonathan Acevedo Garcia, who is set to testify in the FBI case against Wedding's operation. Is that who we're talking about here?
I would leave it as a federal witness to the FBI, and again, it demonstrates where his organization, the information that was shared with some of the people, his enablers, to try and facilitate and find this individual. And you mentioned the website earlier, the Dirty News. That website was news to post the federal witness's picture and requiring assistance to identify where he's at.
So essentially, the web of this is that there was this larger investigation into him for drug trafficking and other crimes. And this witness, who you will not identify because the FBI hasn't officially identified this person, though we have the media reporting as to his identity, that if this witness was gotten rid of, everything would work out in terms of facing extradition. This is what Mr. Wedding was allegedly told. And a web page was paid to publish the picture of the witness and their family to help people find this person. Exactly. Have you seen something like this before? It seems extraordinary.
I've never seen that before, and that web page was used for far more stuff than that. Gangs would post things on it to escalate violence with others. And the FBI and the RCMP has done a really good job of shutting that down, arresting the individual. And as of this morning, yesterday when we arrested him, there was actually anybody who went to that website, there'd be a pop-up screen with the FBI and the RCMP logo on it that it's no longer.
Okay, so help me understand something here, Commissioner. Ryan Wedding is Canadian, Canadian Olympian. The U.S. is the lead law enforcement agency, or their agencies are. Why are they leading this and not the RCMP?
Yeah, it's not because he's a Canadian that the RCMP would be leading it. You got to remember that Ryan Wedding is in Mexico, and depending how the information or the investigation started, the United States, the FBI was better positioned than the RCMP, and this is when we started working together. So that's why you're seeing all the indictments are going to be in the States, very little in Canada, because the way the information was collected, how we worked with them, and how it initiated. So. Okay,
so it's just because of the transshipment nature of the drug trafficking, it's through their jurisdiction, and that's where it started. So you mentioned Ryan Wedding is in Mexico. Is that where he is believed to be right now?
That is, we still believe that he's in Mexico.
When's the last time you had a clear idea of where he was, you or the U.S.? Because this has been going on for a while, and I know you've successfully arrested other people allegedly connected with this, but the kingpin's still out there.
Well, let's put it this way. I was in Mexico in September, early September, and I met with the equivalent of the Minister of Public Safety, and we informed the Minister the importance of collaboration and identifying and arresting Wedding. So at that time, we were confident that he was still in Mexico.
Okay, and I guess because if you're connected with the Sinaloa cartel, you would have people who could potentially hide you, help you, protect you. I mean, is that the operating assumption right now? The cartel's helping
That's
them?
what it is. But remember one thing, David, this guy is high up in the hierarchy. That he could have his own team looking after how do I hide him, where do I hide him, if we have to move him, how do we move him? So.
Okay, help me understand that, because I read these big magazine exposés on El Chapo and the systems of tunnels he would use and safe houses to escape, and I watch Narcos on Netflix, and I know there's embellishment in those things, but there is underlying kernels of truth in how they operate there. So when you say he's high up, like what does that mean to someone who's not a part of the kingpin and cocaine world?
Well, if you look at the cartel leaders, and again I go back to what the director of FBI said, that he considers him as the equivalent of El Chapo, and I would say the same thing. So there's still a respect at that level between cartels.
So when you have that, and just as a final point, I mean, how optimistic are you that you can get them? Because, you know, if you go into Mexico, and everybody knows the cartels operate there, but it is such a militarized drug operation. It's so challenging for the police there to do anything of consequence. I mean, what kind of a hurdle does that create for this investigation?
I'm optimistic that we are going to get them. The Mexican authority have told us that they're fully committed. The FBI is fully committed, just like the RCMP, and I believe that we are going to get them.
And how's the cooperation with the U.S. officials? Things have been unsettled, I would say, with allegations about border and soft on drugs, and here we have metric tons of cocaine coming into Canada from the U.S.
I would reassure you, David, and the Canadians, that the relationship we have with the FBI, DEA, Border Patrol is very strong. It hasn't changed. We're doing the same work. We want to do the same work. Transnational organized crime has no borders, and we have to work together, share information, share intelligence, come together, and share the expertise.
Okay, RCMP Commissioner Mike Duheme, it's quite the tale. Thanks for coming in, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.